Welcome in, everyone, to another deep dive. This time we're looking into beauty care tips. And you guys sent in a great resource from my upchar called Beauty Care Tips, Skincare Tips, Hair Care Tips.
Yeah, it looks really comprehensive. I like how it blends traditional Indian practices with modern science for like a holistic approach to beauty.
Right, like looking good is great and all, but it seems like this guide is really emphasizing beauty coming from inner wellness.
Definitely. That's a really cool way to approach it, and I think a lot of people will resonate with that idea.
Totally. Okay, so I'm seeing a lot about skincare right at the top.
Makes sense. It's often the first thing people think about with beauty.
For sure. And, some of these ingredients are so familiar, like malai, besan, multani midi. I'm really curious to learn more about how they actually work, the science behind them.
Me too.
Yeah.
Like, I've heard of using malai for brighter skin, but I never knew it contains lactic acid, which is a natural exfoliant.
Oh, wow. Interesting. So it's not just some old wives' tale. There's actual science backing it up.
Yeah. And multani midi. That's Fuller's Earth. It's been used for ages to absorb excess oil and impurities from the skin.
Right, right. It's like a natural cleanser.
Exactly. And the guide emphasizes that before you start any routine, you've got to know your skin type.
Makes total sense. Oily, dry combination.
Exactly. It's like your skin type is the foundation, and then you build your routine from there.
So true. And speaking of routines, I see a whole section on hair care too.
Oh, yeah. And guess what? Hair type matters just as much for hair care as it does for skin care.
Okay, so
Yeah.
same deal. Figure out your hair type first, then go from there.
Yep. And get this, they talk about using neem and turmeric.
Really? Like the stuff in food. For your hair.
I know, right? It's pretty cool. Apparently, neem has antifungal and antibacterial properties, so it can help with dandruff and scalp infections.
Huh. Never would have guessed that.
And turmeric. It's a powerful anti-inflammatory, so it could potentially help with scalp conditions and even promote hair growth.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, but what about all the modern beauty products out there?
The guide talks about them too. It encourages people to explore different products, but to be smart about it.
What do you mean?
Like, don't just assume that expensive means better, and try samples before committing to a whole bottle of something.
Yeah, that's good advice.
Yeah,
I've definitely made that mistake before.
it happens to the best of us. And whether you're going for chemical or natural remedies, it's super important to research both the benefits and the risks.
Right, because even natural things can have side effects, or maybe they won't work for everyone, or...
Exactly. So informed choices are key. Speaking of which, have you heard about hyaluronic acid and biotin?
Oh, yeah, they're everywhere these days. Does the guide mention those?
Definitely. They talk about hyaluronic acid being like a super humectant. It can hold like 1,000 times its weight in water.
Wow. So it's not just moisturizing, it's like mega moisturizing.
Right. Tiny water magnets for your skin.
Yeah.
And as for biotin, it's vitamin B7, and it's involved in cell growth and stuff, including making keratin, which is important for hair and nails.
Right. I knew it was supposed to be good for hair growth.
Yeah, but the research on biotin supplements for hair growth is still kind of iffy. Like, some studies show promise, but more research is needed.
So jury's still out on that one.
Pretty much. Now, are you ready to get a little more high-tech?
Oh, you mean like laser hair removal and microneedling and all that?
Yeah. The guide talks about those too.
Yeah.
But it emphasizes that you've got to consult with a professional before doing anything like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Lasers and needles.
Yeah.
Not something you want to mess around with.
Right. Safety first. And there's another treatment getting popular, platelet-rich plasma therapy. Ever heard of it?
That one's new to me. What's it all about?
So they take your own blood, separate out this platelet-rich plasma, and then inject it back into your face or scalp.
Whoa. Okay. Sounds intense.
It is. The idea is to stimulate collagen production and cell regeneration.
Interesting. So like using your body's own resources to rejuvenate itself.
Exactly. And the guide mentions that these kinds of treatments can help boost confidence, which is definitely a part of beauty too.
Totally. So it's like, it's not just about natural remedies. It's about finding what works for you, whether it's traditional or modern or a mix of both.
That's the holistic approach for you. And speaking of holistic, they also talk a lot about overall health and well-being.
Makes sense. If you don't feel good on the inside, it's going to show on the outside.
Exactly. And exercise is a big part of that inner well-being. Even a little bit of exercise, like a brisk walk a few times a week, can make a huge difference.
I'm all about that. I try to get my steps in every day.
That's great. It's good for your heart, your energy levels, even your skin tone. Gets that blood flowing.
Makes sense. So what if you're ready to go beyond just walking? Does the guide talk about more intense workouts?
Oh, yeah. If you're looking to build muscle or increase strength, they recommend adding in things like swimming, cycling, running, and strength training.
Right, got to get that heart rate up.
Exactly. And they even mention the benefits of compound movements.
Compound movements, what are those?
So they're exercises that work multiple muscle groups at once, like squats, deadlifts, push-ups.
Ooh, I've definitely done some of those. So it's like efficient exercise, right?
Yeah.
Hitting a bunch of muscles at once.
You got it. And of course, we can't forget about nutrition. Got to fuel those workouts with the right foods.
Oh, this is where I struggle. I have such a sweet tooth, but I know what you're going to say. Healthy diet is
Well,
key, right?
you know it. The guide emphasizes whole, unprocessed foods, lots of fruits and veggies, lean protein.
Okay, so basically eating the rainbow and ditching the junk food.
Pretty much. And don't forget about those healthy fats, too. Nuts, seeds, avocados, good stuff.
Right, right. Okay, so exercise and diet. What else do they cover?
Well, there's one more crucial aspect they talk about, and it might surprise you. Mental health.
Oh, wow. I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
That actually makes sense. Mind and body, right. But how does mental health relate to beauty specifically?
They actually highlight how stress can impact your appearance.
Really? So stress can make you look worse.
It can. When you're stressed, your body releases hormones like cortisol, and that can lead to inflammation, breakouts, premature aging, even hair loss.
Wow, I had no idea it was that powerful.
It is. So managing stress is super important, not just for feeling good, but for looking good too.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So how do they suggest managing stress?
They talk about meditation and yoga as being really helpful.
Meditation can be tough, though, Sitting there, trying to clear your mind.
I get it, but it's not about having a completely empty mind. It's more about observing your thoughts without judgment and bringing your attention back to the present moment.
Oh, okay, that sounds a little less intimidating.
Yoga's great too because it combines physical poses with breathing techniques and mindfulness.
So it's like a workout for your body and your mind.
Exactly. Both meditation and yoga can really help calm you down and reduce stress, which ultimately contributes to looking and feeling your best.
Wow, I'm really loving all these insights. This My Upchar guide is packed with information. It's like a holistic beauty Bible.
Right, and we're just scratching the surface. There's so much more to explore in this guide.
It's amazing how this guide manages to blend like ancient wisdom with modern science.
I know, right? It's like rediscovering those traditional practices, but through a scientific lens. And it really drives home the point that true beauty is timeless. It's not about chasing the latest fads.
Totally agree. Speaking of modern stuff, we were talking about some pretty high-tech treatments last time, like that platelet-rich plasma therapy. Wow. It seems like there's so many options these days, from those simple DIY remedies to like next-level procedures.
There really are, but that's the cool thing about this holistic approach, right? It's all about having those options and finding what works best for you, for your life, for your own needs.
It's not one size fits all at all. And you mentioned earlier that even simple things like walking can make a big difference. But I am curious about the different types of exercise they recommend, because we talked about walking, strength training, those compound movements. There's a lot there.
It can seem like a lot, for sure. But I think the main takeaway is to find activities you genuinely enjoy, things you can actually stick with. So if you're just starting out, walking a few times a week, getting that brisk pace is a great way to ease into it.
Yeah, and then if you want more,
Then you can amp it up. Strength training is awesome for building muscle, boosting your metabolism, and it's even good for your bones, which is something we don't always think about, but it's so important as we get older.
so it's not just about like looking toned or whatever. It's about building strength for your overall health.
Exactly. And those compound exercises we were talking about, like squats, lunges, push-ups, rows, those are amazing because they hit multiple muscle groups at the same time.
Makes your workout more efficient. I've always been a bit intimidated by strength training, but honestly, the way you explain it makes it seem a lot more approachable.
Oh, good. It doesn't have to be scary at all. And you can adjust it to your fitness level. You can start with just body weight or light resistance bands and work your way up as you get stronger.
I'm actually feeling kind of motivated now. But before I hit the gym, we got to talk about fueling those workouts. We talked about a balanced diet last time, but I think we could all use some more specifics. Like, what did you find most helpful in the My Upchar guide? Any recommendations that stood out?
Honestly, the biggest thing is just focusing on those whole, unprocessed foods as much as possible. So think vibrant fruits and veggies, lean proteins.
Like fish and chicken, lentils.
Yes, whole grains like quinoa and brown rice. And, of course, those healthy fats from things like nuts, seeds, avocados.
Okay, got it. So colorful foods, good fats, Basically, ditch the processed stuff and embrace the rainbow.
That's a great way to put it. And hydration. Don't forget hydration.
Right, water is life. But, I gotta ask, what about those of us with a sweet tooth?
Oh, I hear you. But it's not about completely eliminating treats. It's about finding that balance. So maybe you enjoy those sweet things in moderation and look for healthier alternatives. Like instead of grabbing a sugary snack, maybe have some fruit with nut butter or a piece of dark chocolate.
Okay, mindful choices. Got it. I can definitely work with that.
And those small changes can really add up over time.
I'm realizing as we talk about all these different things, just how connected everything really is. It's not just about skincare or hair care in isolation. It's about taking care of your whole self.
Exactly. Our physical, mental, and emotional health are all intertwined.
And we were talking about stress earlier and how it can actually impact your appearance. I want to go a little deeper into the mental health aspect. What are some of the specific practices they recommend for managing stress and finding that inner peace?
Well, the guide highlights meditation and yoga as being super powerful for calming the mind, reducing those stress levels, and creating a sense of inner harmony.
Meditation can be so hard, though.
Mm.
Sitting there trying to empty your mind, I always feel like I'm doing it wrong.
Oh, I know that feeling. But it's really not about emptying your mind completely. It's more about gently observing your thoughts without judging them and bringing your attention back to the present moment. It takes practice, just like anything else.
That makes me feel a little better.
Yeah.
So even if my mind is racing with a million thoughts, just taking a few minutes to focus on my breath can be helpful.
Absolutely. Even a few minutes of mindful breathing can make a huge difference in calming you down.
And what about yoga? I know it's good for flexibility and strength, but how does it benefit mental health?
So yoga's really cool because it combines physical poses with breathing techniques and mindfulness. So you're getting that physical release of tension, improving circulation, but also calming your nervous system and promoting relaxation through the breath work.
It's like a whole body and mind experience.
Exactly. And all of that together can be so effective in reducing stress, improving your mood, and just making you feel better overall.
It's like, it's not just about avoiding stressful situations. It's about equipping yourself with the tools to handle those situations when they inevitably come up.
I love that. Building that resilience, that inner strength.
And that strength, that inner peace, it radiates outward.
Yeah.
It enhances your natural beauty.
Absolutely. It's like a glow that comes from taking care of yourself on all levels.
Speaking of glow, we haven't really talked about specific skincare or hair care products that much. Are there any particular products or ingredients that the MyUpChart guide highlights?
They encourage exploring different products based on what you need, but they do talk about some key ingredients that have been used in India for centuries and are now starting to get more attention in modern skincare.
Ooh, ancient beauty secrets. Tell me more.
Well, one that caught my eye was sandalwood. It's known for its calming and cooling properties, and it's been traditionally used to soothe inflammation and redness.
Sandalwood, I love that scent. So relaxing.
Me too.
Yeah.
And beyond the aromatherapy benefits, it also has antibacterial and antiseptic properties, which makes it good for acne-prone skin.
Wow, a multitasker. Any other traditional ingredients they mention?
Another interesting one is rose water. It's been used forever in India as a refreshing and toning treatment.
Rose water. My grandmother used to make her own by steeping rose petals in water. She said it was the secret to youthful skin.
That's so sweet, and there's actually some science to back that up. Rose water is a natural astringent, so it helps tighten pores and balance your skin's pH. And it also has anti-inflammatory properties, so it can help with any irritation or redness.
It's amazing to see how much we can learn from these traditional practices. Like there's so much wisdom that's been passed down through generations, and now science is starting to catch up and explain why these things work.
It's pretty cool, right? And this My Upshare guide does such a good job of bridging that gap, honoring the old ways while embracing modern understanding.
I totally agree. And, going through all these different aspects of beauty and wellness, from exercise and diet to skincare and stress management, it makes you realize that true beauty goes way beyond just how you look.
Right. It's about how you feel, your overall sense of well-being.
It's about embracing yourself, taking care of yourself, and expressing your unique individuality.
Beautifully said. And speaking of individuality, the My Upchar guide also talks about treatments that might not directly address health concerns, but can boost confidence and self-esteem.
Oh, interesting. What kind of things are we talking about?
Things like nail art or eyelash extensions. These things might not be about your physical health directly, but they can make you feel really good about yourself.
It's all about feeling good in your own skin, and sometimes a little extra something can give you that boost.
Exactly. Beauty is multifaceted. It's both inner and outer. It's about doing those things that make you feel good inside and out.
I love that. It's not about fitting into some mold. It's about celebrating yourself and
Mhm.
expressing yourself in a way that feels authentic to you.
Beautifully said. You know, this my upchart guide has me thinking, what are your favorite traditional beauty practices? And do they have any scientific backing?
Wow, that is a great question. I'm going to have to think about that.
It makes you think about all those little rituals you've picked up over the years, maybe from your family or your culture, and
Mhm.
whether there's some science behind them.
I love it. Like maybe there really is a secret family recipe for glowing skin. Who knows?
Maybe so. I definitely encourage everyone to do a little digging and see what they find.
And speaking of digging for information, there's one more thing from this guide that I wanted to talk about.
Oh, what's that?
Did you know that the Myopchar doctors actually developed their own hair oil?
Wait, really?
Yeah, it's called Myopchar Ayurveda Quiche Art Hair Oil. It's made with a blend of Ayurvedic herbs, all traditionally used for hair health.
Ayurvedic herbs, that's so cool. What kind of herbs are in it?
They don't list all the specifics, but they say the herbs were chosen based on their traditional use and their potential benefits for hair.
So it's like they took all that ancient knowledge and put it into this hair oil.
Exactly. And get this, they've recommended this oil to over 100,000 people for things like hair fall, gray hair, dandruff.
Wow, that's impressive. It sounds like they're really putting their expertise to good use.
I agree. It shows they're not just about providing information, they're about creating solutions too.
And it's all about combining that traditional wisdom with modern science, which is what we've been talking about this whole time.
I am loving this deep dive. This My Upchart guide is more than just beauty tips. It's like a whole philosophy of well-being,
Yeah.
where inner and outer beauty are connected.
I couldn't agree more. It's about feeling good from the inside out.
And it's a journey, not a destination. It's about those little choices we make every day.
Those small acts of self-care that add up to a more radiant, vibrant, authentically beautiful you.
I love that. So, before we move on to the final part of our deep dive, I want to leave everyone with a question to think about. What are your unique beauty goals? And how can you incorporate some of these holistic principles into your journey? It really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? Like, what does beauty really mean to me?
Right. It's not about what magazines or influencers are telling you. It's about defining it for yourself and then creating your own path to get there.
You know, as we wrap up this deep dive into the My Upshare guide, I'm just really impressed with how much it covers. It's like a complete guide to beauty, inside and out.
I agree. And I love that it combines those traditional practices with the science behind them. It's not just about covering things up, it's about truly taking care of
It's
yourself.
a journey, not a quick fix, right?
Exactly. And it's those small choices we make every day that really add up.
Like choosing a walk over sitting on the couch or grabbing some fruit instead of that bag of chips.
Or just taking a few minutes to breathe and quiet your mind. It all matters.
It's about creating those healthy habits that lead to a healthier, more radiant you.
Hey, one thing that really stood out to me in this guide was the emphasis on being informed. Like, whether it's a traditional remedy or a modern treatment, do your research, understand the risks and benefits.
Don't just blindly follow trends or believe everything you see on social media.
Right. It's about becoming your own advocate, taking control of your beauty journey.
Asking questions, learning, making informed choices.
Exactly. And it's cool to see how my Upshar is helping people do that. Not just with information, but with things like their Kish Art hair oil. They're taking that traditional knowledge and making it accessible to people.
That hair oil was such a cool discovery. It really shows their dedication to combining the best of both worlds.
It's a perfect example of how tradition and science can work together. And it reminds us that beauty is not about chasing fads. It's about those timeless practices and principles.
And it's about so much more than just our appearance.
It's about confidence, inner peace, embracing who you are.
So well said. Before we say goodbye, I want to leave everyone with a question. We talked about it earlier, but it's worth thinking about some more. What are your favorite traditional beauty practices?
And do they have any scientific backing? Maybe there's a family secret you swear by or something you've always wondered about.
Do a little research, see what you discover. You might be surprised by what you find.
And of course, don't forget to check out my Upchar for all sorts of great resources on health, wellness, and beauty.
They have so much to offer. So go embrace your natural beauty. Take care of yourselves.
And keep exploring.
Until next time, stay radiant.